All right, now that I have the farm brought into Farmworks and we are ready to start designing, I'm going to go over just the basics of the whole program, what the buttons do, and how to move around. On the left side over here, you always have your customers, your farm, and then your fields inside of that. I'm going to unload all the layers so we can show you. You come into this customer here. We have your topography layer that we have created. You can load that. We have your drainage plan that we're going to start working on. You can load that. And then you also will want to bring in your background imagery up here in the top center. Once all three of those are loaded in, you're going to want to put them in the correct order. I put the background imagery in between the topography and the drainage plan so that you can see the drainage plan. I'm using the arrow keys on the keyboard to move around. You will get in the habit of using your mouse with your right or left hand, and your other hand will run your arrows to move you around. Now I'm going to go over the buttons. Background imagery, you're always going to want to have transparency lowered, which is in the bottom right corner down here. You can slide that left and right to your desired working view. Let's go over the layers here. You have drainage planned. You can, whatever layer is on the top is the layer that you can edit. You cannot edit any layers below that. If you were to have another layer in here like line features, if you had line features in here, you can now no longer edit the drainage plan. You would have to move these up or down. When you're in edit mode, you cannot move these. So you would need to move that to the top. Go back into edit layer at the top if you're going to edit your drainage plan. Other views down here, you have, this is your list right here. Click on this. This shows you the side profile of your drainage plan. There's nothing here until you select a line. By selecting this line here, now it will show that line down below, and you can also click through that line, see different points on the map. If you're at 400 foot here, you can look up here, and it'll show you exactly where that 400 foot mark is by that circle. There's also a bunch of information in the bottom right corner of what this point means. It also shows your surface, your elevation, the depth of your tile at that point, the slope your tile will be installed at, and the distance from where you started the line. It's all useful information. Also down in the bottom right corner, whatever line you have selected will show the total footage of that line. And you'll go back and forth between these two views on the bottom quite a bit. Now we'll go up top and start going through these buttons. These are your select tool. You'll be on this mode 99% of the time. You can also select with a circle, polygon, or line, which I rarely use. The next button over is your measure tool. You just click on it the way it is. That measures in a straight line. If you want to measure from this point to any A or B point, it will measure that point. You can watch it in real time in the bottom right corner. Put it down there. You can see it going from 0 right out to 1,300 feet. If you click there, you can do multiple points. Right click to get rid of it. Then you can also go into measure with a Polygon tool, which is very useful. I use this all the time when I'm trying to figure out acres on a farm. So like this farm here, you want to figure out how many acres you're going to tile, go right around the outside edge of it. When you get to there, look in the bottom right corner. We have 72.58 acres. Finish. That is a very useful tool. The next one is your text box. I don't use this very often, but you can if you want to put things on the screen. Once you have it there, you can right click on those text boxes to reduce the size, make them bigger, smaller, change the angle of it, and you can also go into font and change a bunch of stuff there. Next one down is your plan tool. Helps you slide the map around, trying to just slide around, which also works with the select tool. If you just click on the screen first, once you're in select, then you can use your arrows, what I use most of the time. Next is the zoom tool. I rarely use that. I use the roller on my mouse to roll in and out. Next one over is your plus and minus zoom in. Does the same thing that the roller on your mouse does. Zoom layer. If for something happens and you bounce out in the middle of nowhere like this and you can't find anything, you can either highlight a layer down here and click on zoom layer there, or you can right click on it down here and click zoom to layer, which will bring you right back to your job. The next two I do not use. The next one you will click on all the time. This is your edit layer. Do not do anything until you're in the edit mode. Once you click on that, you will come into edit mode, and then your buttons on the top will change again. In drainage plan, that's the first thing you're going to do, as the line you see on here right now. Right here is your line tool. There are 3 different kinds of lines: main, submain, and lateral. A main can be started anywhere and ended anywhere. A submain and lateral must come off from a main. And each individual one of these, you can set the parameters so that when you install with them, they start out with what you want the minimum, optimal, maximum depths to be. You already have a main out there. I will do a lateral. It will not let me click anywhere out here. You have to click off from a main to run a lateral. And you can click as many times as you want, and then the next tool is the cut tool. I use that quite frequently. For it to work though, you have to have the drainage plan selected. So I'll show you how it doesn't work, which happens a lot because you go between these and you might have this selected and you're deciding to cut these lines. And this is an instance where I will cut lines. I want to cut the end of all these lines off on the same contour right here. Another issue. See how this is going straight up and down and I can't slide left and right? It's because hit cancel. I have my vertical or horizontal selected. That'll be a box we'll get to in a minute. I'll go back to your cut tool. I'm going to cut right along this line like I want all these lines to end here. Now I'm going to hit finish and nothing happens. It will not finish because I'm not, and I can't even get out of the box until I unselect that. So you have to hit cancel. Down here, click drainage planned. So that is selected. Now go through and cut them off. Hit finish. It will chop them all right on that line. And now go to your select tool. You can highlight all the tips of those and hit the delete key on your keyboard and delete them. The next one down that I use on a regular basis is horizontal and vertical. So if you want to install a line that is perfectly straight, you're going to go horizontal. You're going to come off from right here. No matter where you put your mouse, it will run it perfectly left and right. Finish. But if you keep that selected, when you go into other options, it'll do that with the cut tool and other tools. For that, you still have the hand again. And then another button that we use quite a bit, I use this to show customers, is view in 3D. It's also a good tool to look at when you're first learning your contours and you can't just look at this and it looks just like a road map to you. You'll want to click on view in 3D. And when you get in there, you want to turn on your contours and turn your scale up. Depending on the farm is how far you're going to go with your scale, so you can kind of tell the rise and the fall. Your left mouse button by clicking in here will turn it different directions. The right mouse button will move it. So you can turn it down, and when you're looking at your map and you really just don't know what, if it's a hill or not a hill and it just kind of lays weird, it kind of helps to come in here and just get a 3D view of it. Look it over, how you want to lay your lines. Like I said, on the left side with the scale over here, you can increase and lower that scale to get it to where you can, it over exaggerates it, but it helps you see more of which way the line should run. So you can kind of skip back and forth from here to this view. When you're bouncing around sometimes you'll bring your topography in and out and you'll forget. You see all these little dots back there? When you have all them dots back there, it's because your topography view is on base data. If you change it to topography, it kind of smooths everything out and gets rid of those dots. Now we're going to go over the column on the left side, and most of this goes to your lines and what you can change for the parameters of each one. So we do need to put one more line out there before we do this. We need to get a sub main out there so that we can edit all three of them. Finish. Save. I get in a habit too. This program does like to crash a lot, so pretty much every time I go up here to do something, I just get in the habit of clicking save. And once you've clicked save, you don't lose your stuff when it crashes. Or if you accidentally hit cancel, you'll lose anything that since you've saved. We're going to go to the select tool, and let's just start with our main. Okay, our parameters that when we install a main, it automatically comes in here as minimum depth of 4.8, optimal 5, and our max is 10. Outlet depth is 6, which I think I have that set in my down here to set defaults. Main right here. You can adjust all of these per type. You have your main, keep your smoothing on low or none. Your minimum slope, offset. Now I have an offset on all of these because we got in the habit of tiling both directions. Or if you're going to install directly off from this plan, off this plan with topography, you always want to have some form of an offset on all of these. So I've got a minimum of 0.25 on all of them. Not this one. One needs to have a 0.25 in there. What that does is each one of these lines right here, when they connect, go to the side view, you can barely see it down here, but they're all offset 0.25, which when you dig a connection and you're going to hook to the main, without that offset, the plan in your computer is going to think you're coming off the main at the exact same height as what the other line was installed, which you don't want. And 0.25 is the minimum. It gives you 2.5 tenths in the connection to adjust in your connection. All of these, you can set them to whatever your company runs. And then individually, you can go down on each one and change them at any point. When you are installing lines, it does not automatically give them the size. So when you're done with the project, you want to go to this view down here, click on Farm Drainage, and then on the right you have different views for each layer. And when you click on Pipe, it'll go to Pipe View of what each pipe is. Well, we haven't labeled anything yet, so it all turns gray. And in the bottom right corner, it'll be unassigned. We have 7,900 feet of pipe. What I like to do is usually highlight the entire farm, or you can actually just double click on the unassigned, which will select it all. Come over here and you can change it all to 4-inch tile and save it. That'll convert that. Usually when there's 200-300 lines of 4-inch out there, it's easier to convert them all and then go back through and select the lines that you would like to change to whatever they would be. This one right here was going to be a main, and we can go in here to 8-inch tile there, change this to a 6 there. And every time you hit save, it'll update it down here in the right corner. Until you hit save on any of these changes, your footage does not update until you click save. Now we're going to go over splitting lines. There's multiple ways to split lines. We will go into the side view, click on this line here, and we'll zoom in. Let's say we're wanting to end here now. You can right click right after that line because you can see the lines on there where they connect. Right click right after there. You can right click down below and you can split the line right there, which will now turn your main into 2 lines. And delete the second part if you wish. Another option too, let's say this line is going to continue and you want to reduce the size of this main to a 6 as it goes up over the hill. Instead of it just being an 8-inch line, you'll click on pipe, you'll scroll up, and these are all, you can add different sizes in here. I've got other things for project or overcut, over budget. That way I can change colors of stuff. I also have 2 sizes of 4-inch. I have a 4-inch and a 4-inch tile. That's if I'm doing 2 fields side by side and I want to see the different footages total at the bottom. I can still have 4-inch, but they're labeled different in the mini map. We're going to go to multiple when this pops up. I try to install by the length of coils. So 8s are 825 feet. So we're going to enter 825 feet. Then we're going to add a pipe size after that. And by doing that, it will give you the rest of the line immediately, exactly. If you don't have the exact footage in here, it will not let you finish this. So like, let's say I change this, just took out 0.1. It will not let me close out because it's an invalid. Well, let me put the pipe size in there first. We're missing 0.01 of that entire line, so it doesn't know what to do. The best way to do it whenever that happens is just get rid of the last one, add a new pipe size. It'll calculate it exactly. Change the last one to whatever size you want to use, hit OK. And it won't show it until you hit save. Hit save, and there you go. Now you have 2 pipe sizes in 1 line. Another handy tool too, once you've already put lines in and you want to move and adjust them, is this one right up here. You go to the node tool. It's right next to the select tool. You can select lines. And when you select lines, it'll give you every point in that line. Every time you connect a line to a main, it adds another node. And you can adjust these by 1 at a time. If you're trying to move them around a corner or a hill, we're going to go back down here. We're going to select background imagery. We're going to reduce so we can see the contours again. Go back to drainage planned, side view. And then you can move your main right up through the draw, right where you want it to be. And if you want to straighten things out, you can always select the line and you can highlight multiple of these at a time, hit the delete key, delete them all. And then double clicking will add new. We'll add new lines, new nodes, or you can right click and add them. Double clicking is faster. But whenever you move the main, it will disconnect your laterals. So you'll need to go back and click on them all, and you can either zoom out and highlight them, or you can just hold the control key and just start clicking ones that you want to select. Once you have them all selected, there's another box that we need to learn. Right-clicking on selected items will bring up this. Invert Selection will invert it to selecting every other line on the field but the ones you have. Connect to is used very frequently. You will click on that with the left mouse button. You'll get a pop-up box. Always click OK. And then click on what you want it to connect to. We'll then connect them all to the line. Same thing with this line. This line is came unhooked. Connect to. There. The other boxes that pop up, we have extend to. Well, we skipped create offset. That's another highly used button. We want to create offsets left or right of the main. You'll click on the lateral. You'll create the offset. This box comes up. Most of the time our distance is 60. You type that in, and then the count is how many you want. So we're going to make 3 more of these, and they're going to go left. That is the direction you are facing away from the main. And it just made 1, 2, 3 more. And you can do that both directions. When you hit save, it will update the size. And now we have extend to. It's used in a couple different ways. So let's say you were on this line here and you needed it to get up into here somewhere. You have two ways to get it there. One, you can create extend to, you can extend it to the boundary, which will take it all the way across the map. You can then re-click on it again, go to the bottom, follow your way up it till you get to where you want the line to end, right click, split it, and then you can delete the extra. That is one way you can extend it. Now let's say you had all of these lines you just laid them out, and they all ended down here, but you wanted them to go up to this line where you would normally cut them off. Another thing you can do is go into your main pipe tool, make sure you don't have one of your straight lines selected, and you can follow one of these contours and just put a fake tile in where you would want your lines to end. Hit finish. I click save because it's a good habit. Now you will come down here and select all of these lines again. Right click, extend to, and now we're going to click on section. Pop-up box, click OK, click this line. It'll extend them all to that main line. Then you can delete that if you don't need it anymore. And that explains the extend. Copy. I don't really use copy very much, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Copies and paste them. The next one on the list is copy. If you're going to copy something, you have to be in edit mode. I'll go save and close. I'm out of edit mode. When you click on something, copy's there, but it doesn't work unless you're in edit mode. And let's say you're going to move these over to a features folder where the line features you're going to put into a tractor or something. If I wanted to take the entire project, I highlight it. I want to go to edit first. Now I'm going to right click and copy these. Then we're going to save and close. Go back down to the bottom here, go to our list. We can either leave up the drainage plan or get rid of it. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to double click on my line features, which brings in the line features at the top now. It doesn't show anything because we don't have any. We'll go back into the edit mode, and then we will right click paste addition, and that will bring in those lines we copied. And now these are line features. Another important step, if you want to be able to select them from any tractor, FMX, or other TMX, anything out there, you need to highlight these again once they're in here. In edit mode, right click. You're going to want to go to properties, and at this point you need to name them. That way they are selectable. There's a lot of different names in here. I usually just do them all 4-inch. Hit OK. Save. I also got in the habit, depending on what you're sending it to, if you're sending it to a marking tractor, I like to take the mains out. I will go select the main, and I will change the name of that to something else, either another size tile or just anything in general. That way, when you go into your tractor or whatever you're using, you can either have all the laterals selected or the mains individually. Because if you're trying to mark laterals or do something that way, you'll get in the habit of, you can select this line, but as you come across and you want to select the line going the other direction, it'll want to grab onto that main. But if you take that into a different name, it makes that a lot easier. The last two buttons we need to go over are read job data and write job data. Read job data is how you bring in all your files. Text files are where your LAS is that you're bringing in. Shape files, if you're going to bring, it could come from all different kinds of sources. Our main shape file is bringing stuff from Global Mapper or old LaTeX files. If we're going to read in from the tractor or from the plow, then we were going to read down here into Tremble. We'll go to FMX display and we read those files in. And same thing when you read them in, you have to select the field each time and put it in the right field. The next one is write job data. When you come into this, you hit options first, unselect, so you're not writing anything you do not want. We'll go to the field that I'm on now, Mike Kellen. You'll open it up till you get right down to, we're working on west of Dad's, and then I would hit OK. And that will export it usually directly to a flash drive if there's one in here, to send it out to somebody else. and that is how you take out the files. So to transfer a file from this computer to another computer for someone else to work on it, this is how you would do it. You would write it out this way as an FMX display, and then they would bring it in, reading it as an FMX display.